This is Reset. Today's guest is Karlee Schultz. She's from US Bank. She's a senior vice president of private wealth. Karlee, thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thanks for having me, Kendra. I'm honored to be here.
Absolutely. And our topic today is all about the dirty word money. Like, why is it that we can talk about politics or religion, but we can't talk about money? And I would love to hear more about, like, how did you get involved in banking?
I actually got involved in banking ages and ages and ages ago when I needed to put myself through college, and really got a full-time job as a freshman and worked full-time while going to school full-time, and really just fell in love with all of it. Have done a variety of different things since that was so long ago, but certainly thoroughly enjoy the industry.
Yeah, and you were saying earlier that you were studying like psychology,
Yes.
growing up, and so many of us, right, we actually don't do what we studied.
Right.
And I'm sure you still use psychology in the conversations that you have.
I do. I was actually going to college to work for my PhD in psychology and work with juvenile delinquents.
Oh, wow.
And needed to put myself through school, so I double majored with business administration as well. So I could use the psychology and business no matter what field I went into.
Yeah,
so,
that's incredible. Incredible.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's interesting to me. We were talked earlier about no one talks about money, right? It's it's the dirty word. We don't talk about it, and so therefore we end up in situations in our lives because we don't talk about money, or we don't learn more about money and investing and saving and budgeting. And why do you think that is? Why do you think it is that we don't talk about money?
You know, Kendra, I find this really fascinating topic because so many people really look and use money as the tangible representation of really who they are, their dreams. A lot of people really use money to define their circumstances, and not really understanding that it's well beyond money that's defining their circumstances, but it is so much a part of our dreams, our thoughts, our feelings. There's a lot of emotion behind money. If you even think about married couples, that's one of the single most topics that they argue about, just the philosophy, and it just really defines so much. So on top of it, I think our culture is very critical right now, and I think that a lot of people really have a hard time opening up and really sharing what drives them, and we want to help change that, and that's part of why we want to be a part of Reset.
Aww.
So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I find it very fascinating because, in school, growing up, there wasn't a class on budgeting, there wasn't a class on money. And so somewhere along the way, we've picked up our own money story.
Right.
Maybe our parents were driving in a nice neighborhood and go, look at them, right? Or there was just some negativity around the particular, word. And have you heard of just stories that people have picked up along the way and money, and where they've identified some limiting beliefs that they've had around the topic?
Oh, absolutely. I think to your point, people drive around and they think of the haves and the haves not, and it's defined by their financial circumstances. Today, there is a little bit more education, but still so many gaps exist, like teaching people how to invest versus save, or how to budget, and sometimes there's not even the basics around budgeting. And certainly education is such a huge part of it. And on top of it, people are following the industries that they're in may not be high income earning industries, and then they have more student debt than they've ever had before, and their income levels are lower. And so then there's a huge gap in how to really pay off that debt and still accomplish what they really want to accomplish with that financial independence, if you will, so that they can do what they are called to do. So there's a lot of stories out there, and such defining moments in people's lives around, true impactful moments, whether it's their first job or their first home or having a baby or getting a divorce or a sudden death. Or their husband retired and never leaves the house, or they've retired, right? So there's so many pieces of someone's life that really money goes hand in hand with. It's really that tangible representation of it. So lots of stories out there. Yeah. How about you? Have you heard them?
Absolutely. I mean, my own story around scarcity. Growing up, child of the 80s, my parents filed, for bankruptcy when I was 12. And so I've been working since I was 12. I opened my first checking account when I was 13 from all my babysitting money that I had saved up. And, from that, it's for me, it's just been squirrel it away, right? I viewed money as, you just squirrel it away because, if something terrible happens, and that has served me, but it also has hindered me because, with the energy that money has, I've learned that I can get money to work for me. And so, I personally have had a financial planner since 1999, and it's interesting. A lot of people that I've known and grown up with, haven't had financial planners in their life. And for me, if you have a blind spot, you have to go seek someone else that has been there or done that, and how they could invest in you and say, hey, here's what you need to be aware of. Especially being a business owner, being mindful of that. And I was a single mom for over 12 years, and with that comes budgeting and making sure that sacrifices that we're making. But I found I had limiting beliefs when it came to money because my money story was back to when I was 12.
Yes.
And I'd carried that story with me for a long time. And it served me when I was younger, but it really started holding me back in my business to understand, no, money, I can make it work for me. And that when I invest money, that I can actually get a return on that money for the business. And with having a growing business, then I can give back to the community. I can give back to others. I can surprise others. And I've been able to do that. And it's just been so fun. And to watch that mind shift happen has just been a super blessing for me. And I love sharing my story around that to give others hope. You can, go through that and then still be able to provide for yourself and give back. And so to me, that was always my goal, is not just to survive, but to thrive and be able to push that back out in the community. And it's just been such a blessing.
That's great, Kendra. And I think that emotion around scarcity, right, sticks with you all the time.
Very much.
And it's one of the true benefits of planning and really sitting down and working through, what do you want to accomplish? What's the impact you want to make with that money, whether it is really just accomplishing the basic needs that you have, but then beyond that, what could it do for the community, for others, for your dreams? So I'd be curious to hear what value you saw in that planning. You've been doing it for a long time, so that's great. And obviously it's something you revisit from time to time as your needs, wants, wishes kind of change, right? As you've accomplished certain things, it continues to evolve. So what value has that given you?
Yeah, it's been incredible to, again, have someone that lives, eats, and breathes financial planning, right? I don't live, breathe, and eat it, and same, for those blind spots in our lives, we have to seek, others to be able to, help us. And Dan and I meet, on an annual basis, and we go through everything of where I am, what my goals are, and then even 5 years out, 10 years out. And our last conversation, was retirement conversation. I'm like, dude, I might be old, but I'm not that old. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing and being here today. And Karlee, where can people find you?
Absolutely. Well, certainly they can go online to usbank.com. Also, I work for US Bank Private Wealth Management, and pretty much if you Google me, you can find me, Karlee Schultz. Certainly my name is Karlee Schultz, SCHULTZ at usbank.com. So feel free to email.
Awesome. Thank you again. And thank you guys so much for joining us today on Reset. And make sure and reset your story.